Welcome back to the Sharing English podcast, where we explore stories from the English-speaking world, spoken slowly and clearly for curious English learners like you. Let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Freya. Every March or April, something interesting happens in the United States. Thousands of students and families suddenly leave their schools and universities and travel across the country, and sometimes internationally. Airports fill with young travelers, highways become crowded with road trips, beach towns prepare for a surge of visitors. This is spring break. For many students, it's one of the most anticipated weeks of the year. But depending on who you ask, spring break can mean very different things. Travel, rest, work, family visits, or sometimes big parties. Today, we're exploring what spring break is, where it came from, and why it became such a recognizable part of U.S. culture. Spring break is a one-week vacation built into the academic calendar of many schools and universities in the United States. It usually happens sometime in early March for universities or early April for high schools and below. The timing isn't random. Historically, the break developed around the same part of the calendar as the Easter holiday, which many Christian communities observe in the spring. Because the United States has many religious and cultural traditions, the break gradually became a general mid-semester pause rather than a strictly religious holiday. For students, it arrives at a useful moment in the school year, after several months of classes and around the time when midterm exams are finished. Originally, spring break was simply a quiet week off from school. But during the mid-20th century, something began to change. College students started traveling, especially to warm beach destinations. One of the earliest hotspots was Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which became extremely popular with college swimmers in the 1930s and 1940s who traveled there for training competitions. Over time, more students followed. By the 1960s and 1970s, beach destinations such as Miami and Daytona Beach were receiving tens of thousands of college visitors each spring. Eventually, international destinations joined the trend as well, especially places like Cancun, Mexico. As travel became easier and cheaper, spring break transformed from a simple school holiday into a major tourism event. If you've seen movies or television shows from the United States, you might already have an image of spring break. Crowded beaches, loud music, students partying day and night. That image certainly exists, but it doesn't tell the whole story. Many students actually spend spring break doing very ordinary things: visiting family, catching up on sleep, working part-time jobs, studying, taking quiet trips with friends. Still, the party image became powerful because it appeared so often in media and news coverage. Over time, that image helped turn spring break into something almost symbolic, a moment of freedom for young adults. For some cities, spring break is big business. Hotels, restaurants, bars, and tour companies can make a large portion of their yearly revenue during this short period. Beach destinations especially prepare for the seasonal surge of visitors. At the same time, some communities have struggled to balance tourism with safety and quality of life for residents. Over the years, certain cities have even introduced rules designed to control crowds and discourage extreme partying. So, spring break sits at an interesting intersection between student culture, tourism, and local economics. Let's pause a moment for a quick vocabulary break. First, the phrase spring break. The word break refers to a pause or vacation in a schedule. You might hear similar expressions such as coffee break, lunch break, or holiday break. In schools and universities, these breaks are organized according to something called the academic calendar. An academic calendar is the schedule that organizes the school year. It includes when classes begin, when vacations happen, and when exams take place. This calendar is different from the normal January to December calendar that most people use in everyday life. In the United States, the academic year usually begins in August or September and ends in May or June. But this schedule can look very different in other parts of the world. Some countries start their school year in January, and others structure their academic year around completely different seasonal patterns. That's why the timing of holidays like spring break can vary widely depending on where you study. Another word you may hear when discussing school schedules is semester. A semester is one half of an academic year. Many universities in the United States divide the year into 2 semesters, fall semester and spring semester. Spring break usually happens in the middle of the spring semester, often around the time students finish their midterm exams. Back to spring break. It also reveals something interesting about youth culture in the United States. For many students, especially college students, this may be one of the first times they travel independently with friends, rather than with family. Road trips, shared hotel rooms, and group travel become part of the experience. In that way, spring break can feel like a small step toward adulthood, a chance to practice independence while still being part of the university environment. Spring break started as a simple pause in the academic calendar, but over time, it became something larger, a cultural moment that combines travel, youth independence, tourism, and media influence. For some people, it's about beaches and adventure. For others, it's simply a chance to rest after months of studying. Either way, it's one of those traditions that reveals how everyday parts of life, like a week off from school, can grow into something that shapes culture and identity. So I'll leave you with a question. If students in your country have a similar break during the school year, how do they usually spend it? Let me know. Thanks for listening to the Sharing English podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a rating or review, and share the podcast with a friend who's also learning English. You can find out more about me and the podcast at our website, www.sharing-english.com. New episodes of the Sharing English podcast are available weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, let me know, what topics are you interested in hearing more about? Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep sharing English.